Duels are going to change Brawl Stars forever, and that's why in this video I'm going to be giving you guys the ultimate Duels guide so you can make sure that you're playing the right brawlers and winning all your matches. We're going to start off by talking about how matchmaking works in Duels. We'll then talk about how to build a comp. We'll talk about some really good brawlers, some really good comps, and finally we'll finish off by talking about some tactics and tips and tricks in Duels. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video so you get every bit of knowledge you need to know. And with that said, let's get into the first section. Like, subscribe, and let's do this. Now, I am pretty certain that Duels is here to stay in Brawl Stars, but that doesn't mean that they won't change it in the future. If they do, I'll try and make an update guide as soon as possible, but don't go down in the comment section below if they change the game and this video is slightly out of date. I'll do my best, but I'm not perfect. Now, we're going to be talking about matchmaking in this first section of the video. And the way matchmaking works in Duels is it takes into account the trophy level of the highest trophy brawler that you are playing. It doesn't even care about the other two, it doesn't care about the total of all of them, it doesn't care about the range or anything. It only takes into account the highest trophies of the brawler. So if you're going to be wanting to play against worse players, you're going to need your highest trophy brawler to be closer to your other trophy brawlers rather than really high up. If you're going to be playing with a brawler at 800 and then two brawlers at more like a 500 range, don't expect to be playing against people who are all have the same as you. They might have all three at 800 or 800, 700, 700. I could continue, but that's the basic gist of it. So don't expect them to be exactly the same as you. It will only be the highest trophy brawler in your loadout. Now we're going to be talking about how to build a comp in Duels. Now, there are some rules that you should follow that basically means that you're going to have a really good time in Duels. Now, one really simple way of doing it is just to choose all range brawlers like Piper, Brock, Belle, Byron, Nanny. Now, this is a good way to do it, but it's very easily countered with the right comp, and some of these comps are good. So, I would recommend doing a more strategical comp, a more logical comp for Duels itself rather than just the game as a whole. So, for Brawler 1, you should be playing a brawler with a decent range, quite a long range, and you want them to be able to charge their super decently easily. So I'd recommend either playing a long range brawler like Byron, Piper, Brock, Byron especially, his super charges very easily, or you could go for someone like Stu, where they have such an easy super, and also they are really good in the game and the game mode as a whole, so Stu is quite a good pick. Also, you should really be good at your first brawler. The other two don't matter too much, but your first brawler is the one which is going to quite possibly decide how the game turns out in the end. You want to be good at them so that you can at least put up a fight and make sure that you get your super or something along those lines. Now, Brawler 2 is preferably going to want a really OP super. Now, you can do this for Brawler 3, but you might have used your super by that point, so it's not as valuable. I really like using Meg, and I think Meg is probably the best brawler in Duels, unless you're counting Brawler 1. Now, not everyone's going to have Meg. Meg is a legendary brawler, and she has only just released. But if you have Meg, make sure you are playing her as your second brawler, unless you want to push someone else. Now, as your third brawler, this can really be anything, though I would recommend having someone with a decently high damage, because the only way you're going to be able to get past Meg is someone who's like maybe a tank, or maybe someone who just does a lot of damage like Spike. If you can shred through those brawlers, then you're going to have a good time. Now, also, I'd recommend maybe playing an assassin. Leon can be really good as both Brawler 2 and 3, because that gadget is really good and his super is so OP. You're going to want a medium to high range, or you can be playing a tanky brawler like Daryl to counter anyone who might have killed your first two brawlers. Next up, we're going to be looking at some really good brawlers and some really good comps for you to be using. Now, I think the number one brawler for Brawler 1 is definitely Stu. You can get a really easy super, he's really strong in the game, and he just does a lot of damage. If you're really good at Stu, you should be playing Stu all the time in Duels, because you can get some really easy trophies with him, and also carry your other brawlers with some trophies. You'll see seeing in the gameplay in this video, and there's a lot more. I had to record a lot of games just to get past Stu. I'm not joking here. Stu was so broken, and I'm so good at him. I say I'm so good at him, I'm right at him, that I was having to record 10 games, and only one of them I'd actually die with Stu, because he's so good. And if you're really good with him, you're not going to be dying much. Now, Brawler 1 could also be someone like Nanny, or someone like Byron, or someone like Brock. I wouldn't recommend using Piper, and that's because Piper doesn't have any easy way of countering close range brawlers. She does have her gadget, but if you've got an egg guard jumping on you, it's not going to do much. They'll catch up to you eventually. They could use a hardcore gadget if they're good enough to be using it. And if you have a buzz, they can use another gadget super on you so that you can get back up to you. It's not a great counter, it's an alright counter, but it's not great. Brock has his gadget, Byron has his super and his gadget, Nanny has gadget and super and just normal attack doing a lot of damage. So you want someone who can decently counter as someone like a Mortis or an Edgar. Stu can do that too. Now, another brawler that I would recommend is Spike, just because of the sheer amount of damage, and 2, how easy it is to hit shots. So that's a really good way at chipping away, and it does still, of course, counter Edgar and Mortis, which are actually some of the most common first picks I've seen. So that's a really good pick. Now, second brawler, Meg. You've got to be playing Meg if you want to be playing consistent wins. Other options though are Tara, who's also got a really OP super, and means that you can pretty much guarantee a win most of the time. Leon, again, got a really OP super. If you use the lollipop drop gadget, you're going to be killing on the maps that it works really well on. If you can protect it, you're going to be getting a lot of wins with that. And then Carl is probably the worst out of all of them, but if you don't have Tara, you don't have Leon, you don't have Meg, then I'd go for Carl. The super is really good, especially with the buffs. If you can be playing protective pirouette, it's going to be even more OP. And if you can be playing flying hook to get up close to those enemies that might be long range, like Piper, like Belle, like Brock, then you're going to be doing really well. Now, I said that you want a high damage brawler for your third brawler, preferably, and you've got 8-bit and Colt to do that. They're really good third brawlers. Another third brawler I've really been fond of is Mr. P, and I've been playing quite a lot in this video. It's because that Mr. P, with the gadgets, if you have any left, and with the super, can tank so much damage, and it's actually some pretty easy wins if you end up getting down to Mr. P. Mr. P can counter a lot of brawlers that might counter Stu and Meg like tanks, because you're just going to be putting consistent damage on them. You're going to be just staying from a distance. If they're running away from you, you're doing even more damage, so they have to charge at you, run into all that damage. The only problem with Mr. P is that he is quite easy to dodge if you're playing against a good opponent. If you can hit Mr. P's shots, definitely go for Mr. P, but otherwise, not so much. Leon is still good here, especially if you've still got the super. The gadget is still good, so you can play Leon as well. Finally, to wrap up the video, I'm going to be giving you some overall tactics. First of all, I think you should hide in a bush at the start of the game. Unless it's one of those maps where it's full of bushes and they can get up quite close to you if you don't search the bush, then you should hide and let the enemy reveal their location first. 99% of enemies will be get impatient and will check for the bushes, or if they don't straight away, they will do it after a while. They often do it straight away, from my experience. So let enemies reveal their own location first, hide in a bush in your half of the pitch first, and just let them reveal their location. Once you know where they are, you can start strategizing about how you're going to kill them. Now, you're going to want to keep your optimum range wherever possible, and depending on the map, there might be certain positions where you want to go. For example, on the map I'm showing here, I like to go Meg on the left side of the bush because it goes slightly further forward. It means I can get into range, and it means that I can kill them faster because I haven't got the longest range. However, if I'm playing a brawler who's really weak, and I kind of just want to let the enemy waste their ammo, get a bit confused, and then pounce. Then I'll go on the right bush. It's slightly further back, gives me more protection, allows me to stay in my part of the zone more. So you've got to be strategical about your range and where you are compared to the enemy. Now, you can use jump pads or teleporters to determine where you are on the map so that you can be in a really good place. You'll see in this video I have a clip of gameplay of it, and also one of my shorts videos coming up or it might have already been depending on when this video is uploaded, is where I managed to use a jump pad to get really close to a tick and kill him. So you can use things like jump pads to get really close to brawlers like throwers or brawlers like Piper, for example, and then you can also get further away from brawlers close to you or brawlers about to kill you, like Mortis, or just like a brawler, any brawler that's about to kill you and is on your side of the map. You can jump pad out there, teleport out there, get ready. Also, if enemies are using teleporters and jump pads consistently, use it to your advantage. You know where they're going to be. You can either get a shot ready, or if you're someone like a Spike who has a close range attack or a high damage close range attack, get ready to go right up to that teleporter or jump pad spot and kill them straight away. Now, another tip is to save your super. Now, this is really important. Until they might quite possibly change it in the future where supers don't carry over. I hope they don't. I really like that mechanic. But it does mean that brawlers like Meg are a little bit broken. Which is why if you're playing Meg, definitely make sure you have a super at the end. If you're playing Stu, it doesn't matter too much about using your super, because you can generally charge it back up quite quickly. But with Nanny, Spike, Byron, Brock, it takes a couple shots to charge your super, so make sure you're saving it so that when you can play Meg, you can get it. Unless you're guaranteed a kill with that super, which is not all the time, then you should go for it and save your super. And then my final tactic for you here is to save your gadgets too. Now, you may not know this, but you only get 3 in the whole Duels match, and that means that if you use all 3 on the first brawler, you're not going to have any gadgets left. So, what I would suggest you to do is use 1 if you can get a kill, 1 if it stops you from dying, or 1 if it's your last brawler and you have some to spare, and it's going to give you a tactical advantage overall. So with that said, we're going to have to wrap up the video now. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please like the video, subscribe, comment down below what type of videos you'd like to see next. I might do a more in-depth, specific, detailed guide on Duels in the future. If you guys want to see that, make sure to comment down below. And with that said, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.